So giving up and letting go is easy. And you might be wondering, Winston, why are you saying that? Well, it's because sometimes at the side of a challenge or at the side of a test, we measure up our ability and then we decide for ourselves that, hey, I can't measure up to this. And I'm not good enough to overcome this. Therefore, we just give up. And we generally do this alone. So without any help from anyone out there, we're able to talk ourselves out of an opportunity. My name is Winston Harris, and this is Let's Wake Up. There are so many reasons out there on why we give up. Sometimes we identify somebody that can do it better than us. That person has a better skill set than us to do this task, to undertake this challenge, to overcome these boundaries. And sometimes we just let somebody else do it before we want to do it because we have some type of fear attached to it. We're scared of taking up that opportunity. Like, unless somebody else does it, I won't do it. You know, sometimes that does impact on why we give up on certain challenges and certain topics as well. And also, we may have had a bit of experience in the past with regards to this particular thing that we are facing right now. And I said, you know what? I faced a bad experience previously, so therefore I'm not going to try and take up this challenge again. I'm rather not going to face it because I had a bad experience in the past. One of the big ones out there is that we have that fear of failure. Is to be like, no, I'm not going to be the one out there with the big L on my forehead and being a loser to everybody else. And I fear the stigma that's going to be attached on whether or not I achieve this. I fear the criticism that I might face if I try to pursue this. And for me personally, the biggest one out there is that I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to be the one out there with egg on my face because I couldn't do what was set out in front of me. So, personal testimony from my side is that in grade 11, so I I had maths and physics and all of that STEM subjects up until grade 11. But my life was taking a bit of a turn during that age. Well, my marks came at the end of grade 11, and the school that I was at is that what they would do is they'd put a little red line underneath your mark to say that, hey, you've been slipping consistently in this subject. Just pay a little bit more attention to it next year. And then put more work into it, put more effort into it, and then hopefully your marks will increase. Well, I didn't want to be embarrassed. I didn't want to be the one in matric to be like, "Hey, Winston failed maths." I didn't want to experience that. And so what I did is I completely took it off my books. I took physics off, I took maths off, and I said, "You know what? I'm not going to do this." And I lacked the wisdom at that time, and I dropped it completely. Those subjects, and I done so without counseling anybody else. I didn't speak to teachers. I didn't speak to the subject head. I didn't speak to a principal. I didn't speak to my mom at the time. I didn't speak to my fellow students that could also be like, hey, are you guys facing the same thing? Like, are you guys learning the same way I'm learning? What is the issue? Why is it not getting into my head? I said, none of that. You know what? I'm just going to drop it. Looking back at that decision that I made, obviously, I'm wondering what could my opportunities have been like. All of those what if questions comes to mind. If I used all my resources that I had available to me, if I made better decisions with the time that I had and worked a little harder at it, what if all of these, what could my life have been if I made the right decision? But instead, because now, obviously, I'm a little bit older. So instead, I should have listened to James 1:5, where it speaks about wisdom. And it reads the following: If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. I should have taken the time. I should have prayed about my situation and asked God to help me find a way through this challenge. But I didn't back then. However, now that I'm a little bit older, now that I know that, now that I know better and how to work through my situations and through my decisions, take calculated risks and do a little SWOT analysis if I need to before making and confirming my decision. Um, and understanding that decisions require work. Decisions require for you to think about it, process it, take the time that you need to seek counsel, seek advice, and ask your circle around you to pray with you. Now I know that. And I appreciate the fact that I know that now because there's no decision big in my life or big in Shaday's life that we do not pray out. And if necessary, we ask our circle of beautiful friends to pray with us. Now I'm able to benefit from the decisions that I make instead of just giving up. And therefore, I believe that we should live out and exercise Colossians 3:23 to 24, where it says that whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. You're not serving man out there. You are not serving some master that you believe is making these decisions for you. You're serving God. So let's serve God with the best of our abilities and the best that we can do. So there are some decisions that we can make, and these decisions become lessons. And that lessons have helped me make better decisions. Now we can pray through those challenges and trials and tribulations and put the past behind us and put the regret behind us and say, you know what? I'm moving forward. I'm not giving up and I'm doing my best as though I'm doing my best unto the Lord. That is how we need to face up to challenges. That is how we need to make our decisions going forward. So let's go out there this week, this day, this month, whenever you choose. Let's go out there and give Him our best. Do your best out there and let's wake up.